Hi guys, and welcome back to Beauty Within. It's your host, Felicia. And on today's episode, we're continuing our exploration into specific skincare ingredients and discussing where they can work best in our skincare routine and which other ingredients they can work best with, because there are so many awesome products out there now, making us want to get a little hands, my sweaty hands, all up in there. But sometimes it does take a little turn for the worse if we don't know how to use it correctly or what we're actually trying to look for. So in our first video, we dived into what vitamin A, B, C, hyaluronic acid, and also AHAs. We talked about what they are and what they pair well with and maybe what should be avoided. Today, we'll be looking into 5 more ingredients that we commonly find when it comes to layering in our skincare routine. So this includes arbutin, azelaic acid, tranexamic acid, bakuchiol, and copper peptides. So if you loved our first video and you're excited to get into this one, make sure you've hit that subscribe button, you've turned on our notification bell, which is super important because that will give you all the latest updates and uploads so you know exactly when we come out with new and fresh content. And if you want more, make sure you've checked out our membership system where we offer you exclusive content behind the scenes and also exclusive lives that we do just for members. But for now, let's jump straight into it, shall we? All right, before we get into ingredients, let's provide a very brief recap on the layering order because there are 2 ways that you can generally go about layering your products. First is consistency. You want to apply your skincare products from the thinnest or most watery consistency to the thickest, creamy whipped textures and even oils. The idea is that because it's more watery, it's able to penetrate further into the skin and sink deeper with any active ingredients. And the thicker it gets, the more occlusive it becomes and more nourishing emollient oils, which are designed to trap the hydration of the previous levels. And this is the simplest way to really go about it. So, first cleanse, then go in with a toner, serum, or essence, and then your moisturizers and oils towards the end. And if you want to do a little self-care, throw in a sheet mask into the equation, then the sheet mask is essentially a serum. So you would still moisturize after the mask to really lock in all that good stuff and hydration into the skin. Another method is looking at the pH level of your ingredients or active ingredients, because as you know, our skin's natural pH level lies somewhere in between 4.5 to 5.5, which is like a healthy skin barrier. So the lower the pH level of your products, the more acidic it will be. It's also more likely for these products to penetrate deeper into the layers of our skin. So if we're looking at our routine through the lens of pH levels, try aim for starting off with the products with the lower pH, like your vitamin C's and alpha hydroxy acids first, and then you start layering your other products on top. So if you want a more in-depth explanation, definitely check out our first video after this one. So now, kicking it off with our first ingredient, Arbutin. If you guys are into brightening and lightening your overall complexion so that it's major bing bing vibes, or even if you want to help with hyperpigmentation, sun damage, or acne marks, keep on listening, my friends. Arbutin's naturally derived from bearberries, blueberries, cranberries, and it's a gentle and effective alternative to other brightening ingredients that you might have heard of that may be a little more potent and hardcore, therefore could be more irritating for those of you with sensitive skin types. So you can think of it like the more calm and soothing sister of hydroquinone, which is known to really help with brightening the skin, but can have some sensitizing side effects for some people. Arbutin works by inhibiting the tyrosinase production. Tyrosinase is essentially a hub for producing melanin. And if you guys didn't know, melanin is what gives our skin the pigment and the color that it has. So arbutin will stop the enzymes that stimulate the pigment production cells, because when the hub becomes blocked, you're basically stopping the production of these dark marks at the earliest level. But keep in mind that there aren't many products that solely just feature arbutin as the only ingredient. It's usually found in things like serums or moisturizers that contain other active ingredients that it works well with. And according to Decium's website, Arbutin is extremely sensitive to degrading in the presence of water if the pH level is not ideal. And they said any pH level around 4.9 is shown to be the most stable. And then in terms of percentage or formulation, it's shown to work effectively at 3% concentrations, but higher amounts can obviously work well as well. So some of you might be asking, does it work better during the day or the night? Answer is both. And it generally works well with most skin types, hence why other brightening ingredients like vitamin C or hydroquinone or even kojic acid, if those don't work well for you, then Arbutin is definitely one you want to check out. Now moving on to which other ingredients that we find pair best with Arbutin. First is vitamin C. So these two are the best skin brightening powerhouses that have really shown to work incredibly well together, and they draw on each other's ability to really be able to double down and speed up the process of evening out the skin tone and brightening up our overall complexion. And this is true because one of my all-time favorite brightening serums is the Obagi Vitamin C and Arbutin serum, and that one contains 10% pure L-ascorbic acid as well as Arbutin. It's so lightweight, it just sinks into the skin and it's like water, it doesn't leave it greasy feeling. Next ingredient it works well with is our alpha hydroxy acids, or AHA and BHA. And because AHAs and BHAs are chemical exfoliants that help to resurface dead skin and make that new baby skin shine through, coming in with Arbutin afterwards prevents overproduction of melanin of that new fresh skin. Then another great ingredient that pairs well with it is hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid is just one of those really great hydrating ingredients that is found across the board in all our skincare products. It's in toner form, serum form, moisturizer form. That's a pairing that you kind of don't have to think about. It will work well with it. And if you're wondering, is there ingredients that Arbutin doesn't really work well with? As of now, we didn't find anything that particularly stood out that you shouldn't, but it just comes back down to testing it on your own skin. And here are some products containing Arbutin that we've also personally tried. The Ordinary Alpha Arbutin 2% and hyaluronic acid. This is at a 2% formulation. And as we said, 2 to 3% is already really effective for everyday use. There's the Inky List Alpha Arbutin. This is super lightweight, very watery consistency. And another brand that we've been testing is one called Be The Skin, and they have a purifying white waterfall toner. And this is certified by Peach and Lily, who really rigorously go through each brand that they curate. And then one of our favorite brands, Paula's Choice, has a Radiance Renewal Mask that is $36 that also contains Arbutin as well as niacinamide and other brightening ingredients in the formula. If you're into more K-beauty, there's the Misha Super Aqua Cell Renew Snail Cream, and that also contains Arbutin. Alrighties, now moving on to another A word, azelaic acid. I love azelaic acid. So azelaic acid is a naturally occurring acid that's found in our skin, and it's derived from grains like barley, wheat, and rye. Ooh, a loaf of bread. And fun fact, azelaic acid is gluten-free, so it's gluten-free bread. Which just means if you have gluten intolerances, you can still use azelaic acid. Yay! And personally, I feel like azelaic acid is one of those under the radar unicorn skincare ingredients that hasn't really been talked about nearly as much as, you know, the big powerhouses, vitamin A, vitamin B, C. And not only does it have antimicrobial properties to kill acne causing bacteria, but it's also able to calm redness, lighten acne marks, hyperpigmentation, and rosacea. And it's also safe to use if you have fungal acne. But that's not all. Because it's an acid, this ingredient is also one of the more gentle forms of chemical exfoliants to help unclog excess buildup of dead skin stuck in our pores, you know, like all worked up in there with our sebum. It's essentially similar in my eyes to niacinamide, being this well-rounded, can help with a lot of different skin issues. And if you're expecting, azelaic acid is also said to be safe for breastfeeding and pregnant women, but because it's an acid, there is always some sort of chance you could develop irritation. So definitely definitely patch test a little bit before you go in to the whole face. So how does it work if you want to use it for hyperpigmentation? Azelaic acid has the ability to target, once again, the tyrosinase, or the hub, inside abnormal melanocytes. And melanocytes act as transporters of melanin. It's like these little arms like this in the dermis layer of our skin. And usually the more active they are, the more it will show up on our skin as pigmentation. So azelaic acid can come in and target the hub and the transporters to tell the skin essentially to chill out. Chill. So what does it best pair well with? So you'll find salicylic acid, glycolic acid, lactic acid, or any of the other AHAs or even PHAs are especially helpful to pair with this azelaic acid. And the chemical exfoliants gently target acne, large pores, while azelaic acid can simultaneously do its part in killing acne-causing bacteria in a gentle way. So I believe the Paula's Choice Booster also has salicylic acid. And that one I like to use either alone or mix it into my moisturizer. Then another ingredient it works well with is vitamin B3, niacinamide. So niacinamide has all the skin brightening, pore minimizing properties that can lead to flawless looking skin. So pairing niacinamide with azelaic acid is like giving your skin that extra booster, clarifying, like nourishing shot that it needs. TLC, I call it. And keep in mind that niacinamide is at a little bit of a higher pH level than azelaic acid, so it's best to apply the azelaic acid first and then your niacinamide products. Another ingredient it pairs well with is retinols, or vitamin A, because retinols also share similar qualities in that it helps with evening out the skin tone. It can help with killing acne-causing bacteria. So if acne marks is something that you want to treat, then pairing the retinols with an azelaic acid can be really good at clearing any of that hyperpigmentation. Next is hyaluronic acid, which is a great ingredient for hydration, as we know, and it just complements a lot of different actives very easily. So those are the ones that it works well with. Are there any ones that azelaic doesn't like? Good news is, no, it's friends with everyone. Very similar to Arbutin, there aren't standout ingredients that this shouldn't be used with. And here are some products that contain this lovely ingredient. Paula's Choice, as I said, has the 10% azelaic acid booster, and I just love the consistency. It mixes great with moisturizer or using it itself. Sometimes I'll just like use it in specific sections that I want to help brighten, especially acne marks. That's a staple in my routine that I go in and out of all the time. Then there's also another Paula's Choice antioxidant pore purifier, which Rowena loves. She uses it in her midsection where her pores are a little bit larger, and it contains the derivative of azelaic acid called potassium azellyl diglycinate. This one you can definitely use day and night. It also has salicylic acid, also licorice fruit, and a bunch of antioxidants. So this one is great and lightweight. The Ordinary also has the azelaic acid suspension. First Aid Beauty also has a skin rescue oil-free mattifying gel moisturizer that contains the azelaic. If you are looking for something more potent, there are prescription forms like Phoenicia or Azelix. Alrighty, moving on to another skin brightening, lightening, evening. All of these ingredients do very similar things now that I come to think about it. They're all great and works well for sensitive skin. Okay, so what is tranexamic acid and how does it work? Tranexamic acid is a synthetic amino acid derived from lysine, which for those who don't know is responsible for hydration and stimulating collagen production in our skin. And originally, tranexamic acid has been used orally, so they ingested it especially in surgeries to help excessive bleeding, or as an oral tablet to regulate heavy menstrual bleeding, or even those with, blood clotting disorders. But recently, tranexamic acid has been incorporated into skincare formulations, and it's found to have very similar brightening effects to things like hydroquinone, which is kind of like the gold standard, but it can cause a bunch of skin irritations because it is quite potent. Another interesting fact that we found is that tranexamic acid can calm the skin down, restore the skin's barrier, and even decrease the skin's sensitivity to UV rays. So it's essentially anti-aging as well and skin barrier friendly. And because it's still a relatively newer ingredient, there's still not much information out there in the skincare world or even studies. So we'll definitely do an updated video when there's more information out there. But one thing is for certain, although it's a safer alternative to hydroquinone, tranexamic acid might not be recommended for pregnant or breastfeeding women just because there isn't enough information to really confirm whether it's safe. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are expecting. Now, is it better to use in the day or the night? The answer is because there are limited products out there with it. Generally, it's best used at night as a treatment to really help regenerate our skin over the night, but you can use it during the day with an SPF. So what does tranexamic acid pair well with? Good thing is it goes swimmingly with many other skin brightening ingredients like niacinamide, alpha-arbutin, kojic acid, vitamin C, vitamin E, ferulic acid, and when you pair tranexamic acid with one of any of these mentioned ingredients, you're essentially boosting and amplifying the skin brightening effects for your skin. So instead of a steady and gradual process of seeing results, you might even see it come about, more bing skin a little bit earlier. Yay! Other ingredients that it also works well with is PHA and retinol. So when you pair tranexamic acid with a PHA, which is a gentle chemical exfoliant, or even retinols, you'll speed up the process of the exfoliation on our skin and even out skin tone, texture, and it essentially acts like a vacuum cleaner to clear out excess buildup of dead skin so that the tranexamic acid can easily work its magic in handling skin discoloration at another level of the skin. Next is hyaluronic acid. Once again, hyaluronic acid pairs pretty well with a lot of skin ingredients, and with anything that's intensely working to change the state of your skin, hyaluronic acid is always a good option to calm things down, restore that hydration. Now, what doesn't it work well with? Pretty much the stronger exfoliating acids like glycolic or benzoyl peroxide, especially when the glycolic acid goes to about 20% or more, because the more acids that you mix in at a high percentage, the more chances you increase irritation and really drying out your skin, causing skin rashes, dermatitis, redness, flushing. So our advice is just to keep it simple, people. Let one ingredient shine and just read your skin. Alrighty, so some of the products that you'll find this lovely ingredient in is the Inky List tranexamic acid, and this is the night serum. It's like this clear gel formula that just spreads beautifully over the face, and it just works to help your hyperpigmentation throughout the night when it's in its replenishing mode. And then SkinCeuticals Discoloration Defense Serum. This one's a little bit more exy. It's $98. And then Murad has a replenishing multi-acid peel for $65. And an affordable option that we've also used is the Good Molecules Discoloration Correcting Serum. This was actually a really great serum for when I used it back in the day. It's slightly goopy, it's not oily or sticky or anything like that, and it spreads easily over the face. And I think if you're looking into an affordable brightening serum, this could be one that you want to dabble into. Next ingredient that you might have seen around is bakuchiol. This has taken us many attempts to try and name correctly. First it was bakuchiol, like we were even talking to Paula's Choice on a call and we're like, bakuchiol. But apparently, yes, it divides the skincare industry as well. So how does it work and what does it do? This ingredient comes from the plant extract from the bakuchiol plant that apparently offers all the potent benefits of retinol but without the irritation. So for those of you who've tried retinol, if it's like a 1%, like the booster form, it definitely has drying effects because it's basically helping your skin turn over rapidly. And there was a study that we found that compared bakuchiol's effects with retinol within the skin, and it was found that the bakuchiol had very similar effects and was found to help stimulate collagen production while reducing an enzyme called MMP that's known to attack collagen within our skin, which then in effect leads to healthy, wrinkle-free, and glowing skin. And here's something that you might not have known. Some retinol products might be derived from animal products. So bakuchiol is like the adopted vegan cousin to the retinol that's friendly enough to stabilize more potent ingredients. But one thing to note is that because bakuchiol is a plant extract, if you have sensitivities towards that, that could also cause some sort of irritation for sensitive skin. So if you want to use bakuchiol in your skincare routine, similar to retinol, you might be advised to use it at night so it can, help with the skin renewing process. But that's not to say that you can't use it during the day. So which which ingredients does it pair well with? First is PHA, and PHA is a very gentle chemical exfoliant, so pairing that with the bakuchiol can help with cell turnover as well as maintaining some of that hydration without causing any of that stripping effect. So it's like two very subtle ingredients together. Next is vitamin C, and vitamin C is able to once again stimulate collagen. It's a free radical scavenger, so pairing that with the bakuchiol is like a booster effect. Next, salicylic acid, and this is especially great if you guys are facing acne. There was an experiment that combined 1% bakuchiol with 2% salicylic acid esters to treat acneic skin, and it was found that the combination of both ingredients showed a 67% reduction in acne after 6 weeks. So if it's like mild acne or breakouts that you're facing, pairing these two could go really well. And another ingredient is retinol, because retinols can be irritating and drying. The bakuchiol is known to help with stabilizing potent ingredients like this one, and essentially help to tone things down enough for your skin to keep it from going crazy while getting all the benefits. Next is squalane, which is a great ingredient at nourishing the skin, and it's something that we naturally produce through our sebum. It's an emollient ingredient, so pairing that with bakuchiol, yay! And similar to the other ingredients we've talked about so far, there isn't like a standout ingredient that you shouldn't pair bakuchiol with, so it's generally safe to pair in your routine. So here's where you can find some delicious products. Paula's Choice has a 0.3 retinol and 2% bakuchiol treatment. Biosense also has a squalane and phytoretinol serum. Bybee Beauty has a 1% bakuchiol in olive squalane oil booster. And then Ole Henriksen has the Goodnight Glow Retinol Sleeping Cream. Yay! Last but not least, peptides. So peptides are fragments of proteins that are made up of amino acids, and particularly the copper peptides that we find in a lot of skincare now are naturally occurring in our body and are found in our blood's plasma to help the skin regenerate, maintain healthy skin barrier function. So peptides work twofold with our skin and our body. It signals to produce more collagen, but it's also found in our collagen. Wow, it's everywhere. And that's a big deal, especially for those of us who are looking for long-term anti-aging effects in our skincare products, because our collagen production levels start decreasing at around 25, which leads to things like fine lines and wrinkles and just like less of that plumpness in our skin naturally. You know, youth, you're like a big bouncing ball, and then we start deflating, which is not in a depressing way, it's just like signs of the time. And then specifically with copper peptides, they work by stimulating collagen production and hyaluronic acid levels in the deeper layers to revive our aging skin. You're probably not going to find peptides as like just a pure peptide standalone product, since they're usually mixed with other active ingredients. So you most likely find them incorporated in serums and your moisturizers. What does it work well with? Generally, the skin replenishing ingredients that we find, like niacinamide. This works very well with peptides to brighten up the complexion and really just like restore that overall glow, even out fine lines. Then another ingredient is hyaluronic acid. Because peptides can also help to replenish the hydration levels in our skin, you can boost it with a hyaluronic acid serum. It also works really well with antioxidant ingredients because it can help to work together and protect the skin and the skin barrier and fend from the very harmful things of life. And then peptides also pair really well with our sunscreens or SPF, because even though we should be wearing sunscreens every day, just out of habit, even if you're staying indoors, much like using vitamin C and E and ferulic acid with your sunscreen, the peptides also work really well to create a barrier of protection for our skin. Now, in terms of ingredients that copper peptides might not work well with, there are a few that we found. The first is the more acidic pH ingredients like vitamin C or AHAs and BHAs, because these are exfoliants that can actually degrade the effect of copper peptides when it's laid directly onto our skin. So it'll be helpful to space them out in our routine. So if you're using a copper peptide product in your morning routine, you can use the exfoliants at night or just vice versa. And then the same goes for retinols or retinoids. If you have sensitive skin, it's actually best best not to use the retinols or retinoids with the copper peptide product, but there are products out there that can combine the both. And so if it's formulated together, then you can definitely obviously use it. But if they're two separate products, it's best to space them out again in your routine. So some of the products that you'll find copper peptides in is from my favorite brand, Nia. They actually have two. The first is the Copper Amino Isolate Serum 2-1. It's in two separate bottles. It's this blue formula that then you like activate it by shaking it up. It sinks so quickly into the skin, doesn't leave any residue, and we've talked to the entire Decium, you know, the Abnormal Beauty company. This is the one product that all of them stand by and use religiously. It's not something that you're going to see effects, you know, overnight, like maybe some of your vitamin C, because it's just an ingredient that doesn't work that way. But over an elongated period of time, you'll definitely see benefits. And then there's the modulating glucoside with tripeptide. This one is so interesting. The consistency is like something I've never like used before. It's not goopy, but it comes out in this like yellowy, I don't even know how to describe it. This is a very soothing, you know, helps with calming inflammation, redness. And so if I have like a freaked out skin moment, I'll definitely go in with the modulating glucoside, use that one, and it's my go-to kind of soothing serum. Then there's also the Paula's Choice Peptide Booster. And with this one, you can just add into a serum, add into a moisturizer, mix it, and then apply it to the face. So that one's very easy to use. And then there's the Ordinary Buffet Serum with copper peptides at 1%. And then Inky List has a heptapeptide anti-aging serum and the Drunk Elephant Proteiny Polypeptide Moisturizer. I really like the consistency of this. The only downside is it is a little bit expensive. If I had to buy this, I probably wouldn't get that one, because when I want copper peptides, I want like a potent form of it. So I'll tend to go to a serum format where it's targeted, whereas the moisturizers are a little bit more diluted with other like emollient and nourishing ingredients. It just depends on what you want and need in your current skincare routine. Woo! That was a deep dive into those ingredients. But before we end it, we want to briefly touch upon some reminders if you're considering incorporating any of these ingredients. First, when starting out with different active ingredients, patch test before diving in, and you can swatch it on the inside of your wrist or on a small area near maybe your neck or jawline to see if you develop any sort of reactions, itchiness, burning. If you're gonna develop a reaction and you put it here and you see it, it will definitely be here. So this is an even safer way to try it if you are more hesitant. Next is that we suggest you start with one active ingredient at a time, especially if you're trying a new one that you haven't tried before, because once again, you don't need everything working all the time, because you might just want the effects of Arbutin being able to brighten. Most of the time that Arbutin product already has other complementary ingredients in there, so you don't need to be a formulator and scientist yourself, and just let it do its job. And then the next just refers to how we understand our skin and how products work with it. It's not always about seeing immediate effects or, you know, immediate gratification with it to know that it's working, because a lot of the ingredients that we mentioned work over an elongated period of time with consistent use. And these are the things that you'll reap the benefits of later on in life. You want to start building a healthy, solid skincare routine in your 20s so that by your 30s and 40s, you don't have to invest so much into reversing time, which is marketing. You can't really reverse time. It's more about patience. It's about figuring out ourselves, what works, what doesn't. And, you know, the world isn't going to crumble if there's a great ingredient and you don't work well with it. Thankfully, there are many other ingredients like these, so which is why we're so excited to share with you guys more and more ingredients. This is like our Beauty Within ingredient glossary that we're giving to you guys. Maybe we'll even make it in a book, which would be so exciting. But let us know for our next ingredient video which ones you want to see in the comments below. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching our video, and join our membership if you want more content. So yes, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.